Namaste everyone. Thank you, Anuji. We now move on to the second speaker of the session, and I have the privilege of introducing Poojya Swamiji Bhoomananda Tirtha ji, whom I've had the privilege of spending some time with here in Silicon Valley. He's going to be speaking with us via a video session titled Human Excellences in Shankara's Personality. A brief bio and background about Swamiji. Swamiji says, there is a way of living in this world without being bound by it. Spiritual wisdom is aimed at making the mind light, the intelligence clear, and the ego extinct, resulting in dawning of an illumined and expansive personality. Swami Bhoomananda Tirtha ji is the founder saint of Narayanashrama Tapovanam and Center for Inner Resources Development, North America. Poojya Swamiji is from the Dashanami Tirtha lineage and received Brahma Vidya initiation from Baba Gangadhara Paramahamsa of Dakshinakanda in West Bengal. Swamiji's interpretation of Bhagavad Gita as an administrative gospel, his inspiring discourses on Srimad Bhagavatam, Upanishads, Viveka Chudamani, and other spiritual texts come from his experiential depth and mastery of self-realization. Poojya Swamiji, as he is lovingly called by his followers, upholds that all problems in human life are born of the mind, and so the solutions are also to be found within the mind. The path is simple. One must make the outgoing mind look inward. By two ways, he recommends: meditative absorption, where the seeker discovers the real nature of the mind as well as the world, and two, interactional sadhana, a technique of shifting our focus from the external situation to the mind's response to it and treating the mind through knowledge. Embracing sannyasa at the age of 23, Poojya Swamiji has been disseminating the eternal knowledge for the past 65 years. Now look at the passion and dedication. Transforming the life of seekers on the path of spiritual awakening and fulfillment. His focus has always been on cultivation of values to empower the individual and integrate the society. Poojya Swamiji also has been organizing the Global Gita Convention for the last 3 years in Irvine, Virginia, and Silicon Valley, and I had the fortune of interacting with him and personally experienced his passion and love for Sanatana Dharma and Advaita Vedanta. Poojya Swamiji has been unwell recently and he has been away, and today's video he has done in spite of his condition, which again shows his dedication and sort of passion to keep this Advaita Amrita Varshini flowing. And we're truly grateful that he took the time, and that's because of his health situation, we have requested him to send this video message exclusively for this global festival. You can learn more about Poojya Swamiji at globalgita.org, and we'll also share other details in the chat session. So please begin the video.
Hari Om Tats Madhya Hridaya Kashe Sadanandamayo Guru Udedu Satatam Samyak Ajnana Timirarunaha. Hari Om Tats. Jai Guru. Jai Guru. Let me first of all greet all of you, the viewers, and also the organizers for having arranged this kind of a month-long program to understand the great personality called Shankaracharya. I think Shankara's birth was something like more than 1,200 years back. It was a very important period. We have heard about Buddha. He was born 2,500 years ago. So you will find a clear gap of 1,300 years between Buddha's advent and Shankara's advent. During this period, our Vedic and spiritual tradition had completely been eclipsed, so to say, and there was a revival called for. It is this revival which requires a revolutionary spirit like Shankara's to accomplish that this great country had required at the time. I would like to speak and think about Shankara as a towering personality. There was the spirit of reformation as well as revolutionariness in him. He was a man of knowledge, supreme knowledge. At the same time, he had a lot of fondness for the society around. He has the spirit of adventure, the spirit of dedication, the spirit of exclusiveness to accomplish whatever he sets his mind on. I try to think of Shankara like this. In what way am I interested in Shankara, or I was? I would like to tell you about my own childhood. There were three distinct influences in my life. One is Sri Rama of Ayodhya. But poor Rama was always suffering and suffering. That part my mind did not like. Then we have another personality belonging to an altogether different era. That is Sri Krishna. Sri Krishna was always delightful and exulting. At the same time, he was delighting also. I very much liked him. But to understand Krishna in full requires a masterly intelligence. I was too young to understand him. The third person who influenced me immensely was our Shankaracharya. I always call him the Shankara, the small lad of Kaladi. My birthplace, Purvashrama birthplace, is not very far away from Kaladi. So we used to recite Shankara's compositions, particularly Bhaja Govindam and the like, in our young days. So Shankara's life was very close to us in our mind. And this closeness somehow enraptured me. Particularly the one aspect of his life. What was the motivation for this young Shankara to have left his widowed mother, who had no child other than Shankara himself? How could a human mind think of and take to this kind of renunciation? I was not seeing anything bad about it, but I was seeing something exceedingly great. What was that greatness? Certainly Shankara had some kind of an innate aspiration in him. What was that aspiration? What was that inspiration? What was that compulsion by virtue of which he thought he should and he would renounce his lonely mother? Could the human mind and heart take up such a calling? If so, what does it indicate? Somehow my young mind thought that there is such an inspiration lingering and lurking in the human heart. We are all born here, not to live forever. Our lifetime is limited. In the limited period, we acquire many things, we gain many things, but all of them we also have to leave, ultimately leave the body also. So what is that long-standing factor which will offer sufficient motivation to the human mind and heart? This was a question, and perhaps I found an inkling of an answer in what Shankara did and wanted to do. You must be knowing about how this renunciation took place. One day he was swimming on the river. Suddenly a crocodile caught hold of him and started pulling him down and down. The mother was standing on the bank. He shouted from there, "My dear mother, at least now at the last minute give me your consent to take up sannyasa, renunciation." The mother, in a distress and also because of the love for the child, she said, "Okay, take up sannyasa, I consent." Very strangely, the crocodile left him. And this is how his aspiration to take up sannyasa was fulfilled. This young lad started walking all the way to Narmada bank. Why? What was the necessity? When his father was alive, he asked him, what is this Brahma Jnana, the knowledge of Brahman, the Atma Jnana, the knowledge of self, which our Vedas and Upanishads extol so much? Will you please tell me something about it? I think his father said, no, I cannot give you any answer. As far as I know, the only person who can give you an answer is Govindapada. He is an ascetic, acclaimed well by people, and he lives on the banks of Narmada. This is all the reply and response he got from the father. It so happened very soon the father shed his body. So this one statement of the father was lingering in the mind of Shankara. Now I have to get to the feet of Govindapada. He lives in Narmada. I have to go there. I have become a sannyasin. He took leave of the mother, but giving a promise that whenever you want to see me at any point of time, I shall be present. That consoled the mother. And through unknown terrains he started walking. He walked and walked and walked and walked. It was a great adventure for him. I think this Narmada from Kaladi in Kerala will be about 1,000 and odd miles, maybe even more. He walked all the way, and when he went there finally, the ashram was on the other bank, so he had to cross the river. The river was very turbulent. So the roaring waves greeted him and intermittent rock structures also. He simply jumped and swam through. Went to the cottage, the hermitage of Govindapada, fell prostrate at his feet, as if he had life's fulfillment. The person about whom the father had said, he has now found him. What more is required? Govindapada will answer all his enquiries. Govindapada lifted him fondly, and the glance that transpired between them, that forged a great connection between them. I am not going into details. Govindapada initiated him into Brahma Vidya. Shankara underwent the necessary discipline and austerity, and he started flowering and flowering with spiritual effulgence, spiritual insight, spiritual inspiration and spiritual motivations. Govindapada found a missing son in him, and Shankara found the lost father in Govindapada. What more do you want? Spiritual relationship is too great and too sanctityful. Gaudapada was a great protagonist, a proponent of Vedanta. But as I told you earlier, 1300 years have passed when the entire Vedanta had been lying eclipsed. Pointing to a number of Vedantic texts, he said that all these texts are almost eaten by ants. People virtually have lost the great knowledge treasure the Vedas are giving us. My dear son, can you do something about it? Can you restore and revive the glory of Vedantic science and pursuit in our country? It's going to be a hard endeavor. You will have to walk the length and breadth of the country. Those days there was no transport at all. Shankara did not think for a while. He said, yes, I shall strive with your blessings. And the life started. His life of meandering, his life of parivrajana as we call, started. When he started traveling, he also started writing also. And the first commentary he wrote was for Vishnu Sahasranama, which Mahabharatam, the scripture, has gifted us. Then he took up the Upanishads, the Bhagavad Gita, and also the Brahma Sutras. So the writing mission was concurrent with his walking mission. He was not belonging to a time when people were giving lectures to the masses, so to say, as I have been doing. I have been lecturing like a moving university for the past 65 years. Shankara's was not a life of that kind. There were a number of scholars living here and there who had their own respective followings. He had to meet every scholar individually, engage him in a kind of an argument to establish what he wanted to, at the same time to refute what others were upholding. So this kind of a personal debate was necessary and called for. And he went to all places one after the other. Everywhere his point of view was accepted. He also had disciples, by the way. The one debate with Mandana Mishra is very important. What was the debate? Mandana Mishra was a ritualist protagonist. He was always saying that whatever the Vedas say in the way of injunction or prohibition, a vidhi or a nishedha, that alone has to be counted. All the other things, references to the soul, everything becomes simply a rigmarole, simply eulogism, so to say. This was the point of view. So they went on debating. Now, who will be the umpire for the debate? Mandana Mishra's wife, Ubhaya Bharati, was appointed as the umpire. Now, she had to look after the household affairs and also feed them. It is not a small or a short debate. So she took 2 garlands, put one each on her husband's neck and also Shankara's neck. And she went on attending to her affairs. Whenever there was time for them to take food, he will call both of them. To Shankara, she will say, please come for bhiksha. And to the husband, she will say, please come for food. Days passed. One day when she came, she found the garland on Mandana Mishra's neck had withered. The debate started with a promise, with a pradijna, so to say, a swearing. What was it? In case Shankara was defeated and he accepted what Mandana Mishra said, he would drop his sannyasa and get married. And Mandana Mishra, on the other hand, said, if I am defeated and I accept your faith and your proposition, then I will become a sannyasin, a renunciate. So Mandana Mishra became a renunciate and he was given the name Sureshwara Acharya. Ubhaya Bharati also followed them. Now people are wondering whether women can take up sannyasa. Now in Shankara's life is the answer for us. Ubhaya Bharati herself took up sannyasa and followed both of them. Now Shankara's life is like this. Now what was the exact point in Shankara? Our Vedas are supreme. They are a prehistoric composition. We cannot say when the Vedas were written. That is why they are called the beginningless and the anadi. And Vedas throughout are giving us only knowledge. What kind of a knowledge Vedas are dealing with? Knowledge can be divided into 2 categories. One is knowledge of the objects, another is knowledge of the subject. Objects are many, infinite, but the subject of all these is only one, singular. How many times do you want me to repeat this? You are all people, highly educated. Professionally you are excellent. But I would like you to understand that the whole universe, with all the plurality it has, is an object. Object. All of them are objects. Whatever you look at is an object. Whatever you hear is an object. Whatever you taste is an object. Whatever you smell is an object. Whatever you touch is an object. Your body is an object. I will have to tell you that even inside the body, constituents like the mind, intelligence and ego are also objects. They are subtle objects. The subject is only one. That is the I. The I. The I. Everyone refers to. You refer to the body as my body. Refer to the mind as my mind. My intelligence. My ego. My car. My house. My family. My children. Everything is mine. I am the only one, which is the subject of all these minds. Vedas deal with not the object knowledge. To reveal the objects, our senses are there. And when senses report something, their knowledge is supreme. Whatever the eye finds, the ear or the other organs cannot contradict. So they are self-revealing, quite okay, we cannot oppose it. So the only knowledge that Vedas deal with is with reference to the subject, matters, existences, functions, activities, etc. All kinds of experience, let me say, occurring within the body, transpiring within the body. Jaimini was living in the 4th century BC. Shankara also was living. We have heard about Buddha. He was born 2500 years ago. So you will find a clear gap of 1300 years between Buddha's advent and Shankara's advent. During this period, our Vedic and spiritual tradition had completely been eclipsed, so to say, and there was a revival called for. It is this revival which requires a revolutionary spirit like Shankara's to accomplish that this great country had required at the time. I would like to speak and think about Shankara as a towering personality. Sage Jaimini was living in 4th century BC. He had looked at the Vedas and he had found that the Vedas are mandatory in nature. What do you mean by mandatory? The Vedas are always exhorting you to do something or not to do something. Always listen to their exhortations, understand them and adhere to them. So they are mandatory in nature. Now Shankara was looking at the same Vedas and Vedic literature and he said the Vedas are not mandatory, they cannot be. Then what else are they? They are revelatory in character. They only inform and enlighten the human. We have our mind, our senses, our intelligence to understand. We don't have to be dominated by anybody or guided by anybody. What we require is the discrimination by virtue of which we will be able to sift our sensory knowledge and understand the truth. Now the Vedas are giving us sufficient guidance, inspiration, insight and direction in the matter. So I cannot accept the fact that Vedas can be mandatory. Suppose they were mandatory, what would be the result? They will give a number of instructions and the super majority of humanity will never listen to the Vedas. So they become useless. On the other hand, if they are revelatory, they are presenting before you the knowledge for you to act upon. If you don't act upon, you fail in your human mission. Now you tell me, the Vedas were the same. How is it that Jaimini looked at them and said they were mandatory, and how the same Vedas appeared to be revelatory before Shankara? Herein lies the clue for all of you in your life. Any kind of a perception proceeds from the perceiver. And the perceiver is a complex. You have an emotional mind, a rational intelligence and an assertional ego. These three always interfere with your perceptions and they may dominate. Unless you have the necessary purity, impartiality and the discrimination to sift matters, your perception will never be all right. Understand it very well. Shankara had the necessary purity to understand the Vedic literature. Jaimini, in spite of the fact that he was a great sage, somehow missed it miserably. When I say this, you should not get excited. You should not rush into with your likes and dislikes. You have to listen to it with patience, with composure, with stability and try to think about it. The entire Vedas changed its very purpose, nature, character and objective before Shankara. And then what did Shankara point out? Whatever is in the Upanishads. The concluding portion of the Vedas is the Upanishads. And altogether we have many Upanishads, but Shankara himself has commended for 11 of them. Now I would like to say something following Shankara's reasoning. What does Mundaka Upanishad says? Angiras was a great saint, a knower of truth. Shaunaka was a great elderly householder. He was not able to find any meaning and purpose in his rituals. He had been performing rituals and finally he found that the hands are trembling. I am not able to take the various kinds of offerings properly in the ladle and offer it into the blazing fire. So what have I got? Nothing. What about the offers that I have been giving to the fire? Where have they gone? Have they reached the addressees for whom I offered them? No answer, no answer, no answer. Ultimately he felt forlorn, dejected. He could not get an answer. He discussed the subject with the others. Nobody had anything better to say. They were all silent. So he decided to go to Angiras, who was a saint, living in the forest and in the solitude, doing his own austerity. And he made an inquiry. This is called knowledge of the Vedas. Kasminnu bhagavo vijñāte sarvamidam vijñātam bhavatiti. By knowing which in particular, by knowing which specifically, can I know everything in general? In other words, the world is profoundly before us. I want to know what the entire world is made up of. What is the ultimate source, the ultimate substance? I want to know that. Is there any way by virtue of which I can understand particularly something very specific and then come to the conclusion that it is everything? Oh, Angiras was so happy that he had an inquirer like Shaunaka before him. So he said, knowledge is divided into two sectors. One is called the inferior, the apara, and the other is called para, the superior. All the four Vedas, along with the 6 Shastras, come under the category of inferiority. You know, when I opened the Mundaka Upanishad years back when I was in Calcutta, before taking up sannyasa and coming to Kerala, I was surprised. What? Even the Vedas are inferior and Shastras are inferior. Then what is superior? So it was giving a shock-like response to my mind. But I was very curious. Impatiently I started reading. Then, what is the superior knowledge? Yaya tadaksharam adhigamyade. The superior knowledge is that by virtue of which you know the imperishable, the imperishable, the imperishable. Yes, my dear viewers, this word should sink into your system. Sink, remain there and work the revolution I want in you. The revolution that Shankara wanted in everybody. Everything in this world is perishable. Our sun will become one day cold. No more hot rays would be released from there. You and I may not be alive at that time. Understand, our body is perishable. Every day millions of cells are generated. They are also used up, destroyed. You don't have the body which you had a week back. You will not be having a body. After about 20 years, the whole body will have changed completely. So there is only one perishable factor, the substratum of all these perishables. One imperishable factor, and that is the I in you. According to your own experience, the I has not perished. You started saying I, when you were 2 years old also. And you may be 80, 60, 70 or 90, you still say I. Except this, everything in the mind, everything in the intelligence, everything in the ego, everything in the body and the world has changed. This is that imperishable. And Angiras puts it in his own beautiful manner to present his own words. Yattadadreshyamagrahyamagotramavarnam achakshushrottram tadapanipadam nityam vibhum sarvagatam susukshmam tadavyayam yad bhutayonim paripashyanti dhira. The word dhira refers to wise people, intelligent people, rational people, the inquirers and the investigators of the humans. Understand this. It is for them. They say, Tadavyam yadu bhutayonim paripashyanti dhira. Bhutayoni. That is the source of the entire creation. The source of the entire creation. Creation. The source of earth, the source of Panchabhutas, the source of everything. It is this Adreshyam. It cannot be seen, it cannot be touched, it doesn't have hands, it doesn't have feet, it doesn't have head. It is to be understood by virtue of its qualities. What are they? Nityam, Sarvagatam, Susukshmam, Vibhum. It is all pervading like the space. It is ever present. It will not change at all. It remains as the substratum of every form of existence, subtle or gross. That is it. That is it. That is it. And this you have to know. When you know it, you know everything in this world. Therefore, what does it say? Mundakopanishad. Parikshya lokan karmajitan brahmano nirvedamayan nasti akritakritena tad vijnanartham sa gurumevabhigachet samitpani shrotriyam brahmanishtam. See, what a wonderful statement is this. Parikshya lokan karmajitan brahmano. The thinking and the investigating individual will have to examine all the rituals and ritualistic promises laid down in the Vedas. And he will have to come to the conclusion, all these rituals are performed by perishable products like the body, hands, eyes and whatnot. The mantras are chanted by the tongue, the throat, the mouth, the lips. So by a performance through rituals, you will not be able to attain the source of everything. So the one way will be to grow indifference and dispassion to all the rituals laid down in the Vedas. Completely develop. Nirvedamayat. Attain dispassion and indifference. Conscious, deliberate, well reasoned out. With the experience, with maturity, you will have to arrive at the conclusion. Then what is the way to find out? I don't know. So let me go to the person as Shaunaka himself has gone to Angiras. This great Shankara himself went to Govindapada. Go to the teacher and ask him to instruct you. This is the way. This is the path of knowledge that the Upanishads are clearly laying down before us. This is why I said, Vedas are a treasure of knowledge. Knowledge. This knowledge has to be acquired by Shravana, Manana and Nididhyasana. First of all, you hear about it. As the young Nachiketas heard from the god of death, Yama. Angiras is telling Shaunaka, Govindapada enlightened Shankara with, go to him and get properly instructed. So hear him, that Shravana. Manana is after hearing, contemplate upon it and be confirmed in what you have heard. Thirdly, sit, close your eyes, contemplate upon, unless all the mental and intellectual modifications come to a cessation. Yes, you reach the very source of all thought processes, emotional processes, reasoning processes, assertional processes. In sleep, you are drowned in ignorance and delusion. But in meditation, absorption and samadhi, you are steeped into a conscious stillness and fullness. There will be full knowledge. This is the difference between the two. Now this knowledge, initially it comes to you in the way of an absorption, stillness. But will it always remain still? No. 17 hours of the day we are wakeful. And you may be able to meditate and get absorbed for about an hour or half an hour within that hour. What about the remaining 16 hours? What about the post-meditative sadhana or effort? That is where the concept of Jeevan Mukti comes. As Bhagavad Gita puts it, from Sthita Prajna, you elevate yourself to Sthita Dhi. In Sthita Prajna, you remain totally steeped in silence and absorption within yourself. In Sthita Dhi, you become vibrant and active. If I like Shankara, it is because of his vibrant nature. Within 32 years, how much did he accomplish? What all things he wrote? He has composed a number of poems, poetic literature, discussing the same subject of Vedanta. I am a lover of poetry. If Shankara had not chosen to write in poetry, he would have lost me. He has gained me because he has written poetry. It is a uniqueness of India. Every branch of knowledge we have taken up, we have written in poetry. Our Ayurveda is in poetry, history is in poetry, biographies are in poetry, mathematics, physics, chemistry, everything is in poetry. That is, to be able to express every form of knowledge in poetry, it is a far greater and a different type of excellence. People generally think that science is an expression of intelligence, reason and rationality. Poetry is an expression of the heart's emotion. But in India we have accomplished this emotional and intellectual togetherness, refinement and fruition right from the beginning. It is because it is poetry we are able to remember it and handle it, and its remembrance will have concurrent effect in whatever we do. So Shankara has given a lot of emphasis for Jeevan Mukti. Jeevan Mukti. What does it mean? It means you get liberated while you are alive in this world. It is not a krama mukti, a mukti that comes to you in a sequence. After you shed the body, when there is a total dissolution of creation, at that time you get liberated, as Vedas say in some other portion. No. Here you realize the benefit of liberation while you are living here and now. Here and now. You are hungry, you have your food, and you get appeased, contented. Exactly in the same manner, you are a seeker now. You start pursuing your seeking. You go to a teacher, get initiated into the sadhana. You pursue the sadhana, and the sadhana gives you siddhi. That kind of a Jeevan Mukti, Shankara has portrayed beautifully in many places. One composition of Shankara is Jeevan Mukta Ananda Lahari. Jeevan Mukta Ananda Lahari. Lahari is a beautiful composition. I used to read and revel in all these poems. Pure Pauran Pashyan Nara Yuvati Nama Kritibayan Suveshan Swarna Lankarana Kalidan Chitra Sadrishan. See, you are moving, not necessarily in the forests alone. You come to the towns, cities, etc., and you move about. So you will see a number of people in your front. They will be good-looking women. A number of ornaments, beautiful ornaments they are wearing. Many such people you will see. While seeing all of them, mark my words, follow me properly. While seeing all of them, do you see them? No. Then what do you see them? You see only the mind imprints of all these persons. What did I say? When you look at an object, the object remains at a distance. You, the perceiver, are here and the objects are at a distance. Think of a mountain which you see or a tree which you are seeing. That is at a distance and you are perceiving in the form of an experience. The experience is generated within the body, in the mind. And every object becomes an imprint by the mind, of the mind, in the mind. So you only see the subjective, mental imprint of an object. The object is never seen. So all these beautiful damsels who are there in your front, along with men and so many other things, are they really seen by you, interacted with you? No. The interaction is taking place in the mind level inside. So all of them are imprints. Imprints where? In your mind. So in the imprint of the mind, is there any difference from the mind? You think of a mirror. In the mirror, so many objects are reflected. When the objects are reflected, does anything happen to the mirror? No. 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 In the same manner, when these are reflected, nothing happens to you. You remain the subject. Swayam sakshi drishtetya abhichakalayan taihi saharaman. You consider that I am the witness. I am the drashta. Drashta. Not the drishya. Not the visible. My position, even while seeing and interacting with them, is only that of the drashta, the visible, the seer, the witness. Thinking in this manner, if he is properly instructed and initiated by a teacher, and he has been able to overcome his delusion, he moves freely, independently, and liberatedly, he says. Sometimes you may be hosted in palatial buildings. Sometimes you will be hosted by ascetics on the bank of a river in small cottages. No difference at all. You will start moving with absolute freedom, with the consciousness that I am the unchanging subject and the objects are only imprints for me in my mind. My subject position doesn't change at all. All the objects are reflected. The reflections are not true at all, like dreams. Reflections are reflections alone. In the mirror, quite a number of objects are reflected. Are they there? They are not there. They serve a purpose, but they are not there. This is the supreme truth that our Vedas constantly try to inspire the readers with. That is why it is mentioned, Uttishtata, Jagrata, Prapyavaran, Nibodhata. Wake up, be attentive, be careful. Go to the wise people and get enlightened, illumined and effulgent. This is the message of the Upanishads. This is the message of the Vedas. And Shankara represented it, radiated it, explained it, infused it with a masterliness that even now remains matchless in the whole world. Shankara as a towering personality, what does he convey to me, or what is he conveying to all of you? If you ask me, what I say is that in Shankara I am finding a very dominant quest for knowledge. The knowledge quest, he represents it in the full measure. Then he has got a strength of resolve. There is a spirited adventure in him, and he is out to reform and refine the people. And he makes no excuse there, and he allows no kind of weakness also. And finally, I have to say that the greatness of dedication. These are the qualities I find in Shankara, and these qualities will have their immense effect, benefit for anybody in any walk of life. I think Shankara is a very good for corporate leaders. He is a very good example and inspiration. Think of the industrialists. What should they do with their capital? How should they invest it properly? And how maximum the whole society can be benefited. Because the society is actually the consumer for them. The society also provides them capital. When you float shares, it is the society that buys it. So every form of industry, if it has got meaning and purpose, they must always try to think that the ultimate beneficiaries are the society, the members, and their welfare. Nothing harmful to their body or health, harmful to their mind and emotions should be manufactured and sold. The idea should be to benefit the entire society. So from the profit level, they should be able to change into the societal benefit level. And by so doing, you will find their profits also will be increasing. Now for them also I find Shankara is an inspiring leader. How by a thought process we will be able to access the minds and intellects of the people, and how a great transformation can be brought about and then fulfillment can be had. I think Shankara depicts this in full measure. He is a very towering personality of eternal relevance to humanity as a whole, anywhere, anytime.
Wow, that was very inspiring, very touching, just made me speechless to even say anything beyond what we just heard from Poojya Swamiji, who is close to 90 years old, with so much passion, so much emphasizing of how we all can attain Jeevan Mukta. He's given such beautiful words that I have heard for the first time. Liberated while being alive. It's not being somewhere else. And he has emphasized the importance of Guru. And it was very inspiring to hear how Adi Shankara's father gave him the simple message, go find the answer from a Guru. What a wonderful lesson that we can pass on to our next generation. Thank you, Poojya Swamiji. In spite of your being unwell, you have shown love for all of us and your support for this global festival by sending us this beautiful, beautiful video and sharing your wisdom with us. Thank you so much. I look forward to seeing you again and to be able to listen to you many, many more times and also interact with you on some of the amazing projects that you're taking around the world. Thank you once again. Huge pranams, Sashtanga pranams to you. So with that, we come to the end of the session today. Thank you all for joining. We have probably the highest attendance ever today. And please tell your friends and family members this beautiful Advaita discussions happening on this global festival of oneness. Thanks to Advaita Academy for making this happen. And thanks to all of you for making this festival so wonderful, so colorful, and so meaningful by sharing your time and coming in with a sense of curiosity to learn and to become better each and every day. The next session will happen on Thursday morning, India Standard Time. We call it Day 24. And we have again two wonderful speakers. The Scientific Brilliance in Shankara's Deliberations by Swamiji Nirviseshananda Tirtha ji, lovingly called by his followers as Nutan Swamiji. Now, Swami Nirviseshananda ji is actually the disciple of Poojya Swamiji that you just heard. So do not miss this wonderful presentation. And Nutan Swamiji or Swami Nirviseshananda Tirtha ji has agreed to take a live Q&A. So his presentation will be in the form of a video, but then he will be available to answer any questions live. The second talk at 6:45 a.m. IST on Thursday morning will be a comparative study of Shankara and Shastri traditions by Swami Atmajnanananda ji, which is also coming to us by video. So thank you all for joining and making this Global Festival of Oneness a huge success. All the talks are available on Advaita Academy's Facebook page, as well as Advaita Academy's YouTube channel. So look forward to seeing you all once again. Thank you very much. Namaste.